Welcome to Nice and Blunt. I am Adam Riancho, and it's Thursday, week 12, November 20th. We have a game tonight between the Texans hosting the Bills. Who are you going to start, and who are you going to sit? Oh, no! Let's just pretend like it all worked as planned. Like it all went perfectly smoothly. And it's all good. But okay, let's talk about tonight's game. We have an interesting game. I could see an upset. I did predict an upset, but maybe I've changed my opinion. Let's find out. Shall we? Let's talk about the injuries as people trickle in. This is the Bills depth chart. The Bills are, for the most part, healthy, but they're one of their biggest pass catchers is out for this game. Dalton Kincaid is not going to play. So he is unavailable. I think he might be missing significant amount of time. He did miss last week as well. So we'll see what happens. I also don't exactly know what they're doing with, where is he? Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman right here on the depth chart. And I think he's getting benched. It looks like he's a healthy scratch for the second week in a row. They have Josh Palmer listed above him. Same with Tyrell Shavers. And that's a big bummer. Basically looking like a bust at this point in time. So Curtis Samuel also out. So is Mecole Hardman. They need receivers. They bumped up Gabe Davis last week, and Keon Coleman is doing absolutely nothing. So maybe Ty Johnson contributes again. The ghost of Ray Davis might rear its ugly head. But in general, I think the main benefactor is like Dawson Knox as a potential touchdown maker. I also just expect Josh Allen to be running the ball a little bit extra. So that's the offensive side of the ball. Now let's talk about the defense. Let me scroll up a little bit. That's the wrong thing. Here we go. Let's scroll up and talk about the defense. For the most part, they're kind of healthy, at least the players listed as starters right now. But if you look towards the tail end of their depth chart, there's a lot of players on IR, like DeMar Hamlin, Taylor Rapp, Dorian Strong, Michael Hecht, Landon Jackson, Ed Oliver, Dwayne Carter, a lot of names that do typically contribute. So their defense is kind of banged up when you really think about it. But at the moment, the guys they're practicing with are available. And apologies if the volume is low. I realize my mic is a bit further than it normally is. But okay, that is the Bills depth chart. It's really just Dalton Kincaid and then Keon Coleman being a non-factor. That's the main update. So let's move on to the Texans side of the football. This is the Texans depth chart. So I guess we can start on defense since it's already shown up here. For the most part, their defense is healthy, except for Jalen Petrie, nickel cornerback, is unavailable. So that might impact them a bit, but in general, their secondary is one of the best overall, so I'm not really worried about it. Jimmy Ward still out. Have no idea when he's coming back. That's kind of the biggest name they've been missing, but it looks like Jamal Hill is out, MJ Stewart on IR, and then Fullerunsu Fatukasi is on IR at defensive tackle. So that's the defense. Now let's talk about the offensive side of the ball, where it's mainly at quarterback who is the player that is missing. We have CJ Stroud out for the third straight game. So the concussion protocol not helping him at all. He is not available for this video, for this game. So Davis Mills is the guy. The matchup's really good for Woody Marks. I do like Woody Marks tonight. But Nico Collins has been getting a lot of targets with Davis Mills. I think he'll be just fine. And then Jaden Higgins in 3 of the last 4 games has 7+ targets, a name to keep an eye out on. That is for sure. So I like Jaden Higgins quite a bit. There's Christian Kirk, that's a non-factor, but Dalton Schultz is really the only other pass catcher you can bet on. So those are the injury report updates for both teams. And now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about the start sits in this matchup. Let me pull it up. Here we go. These are my start sits for this game. I changed very little. For the most part, it's all the same, except for a few tweaks at flex. But let's run through the gauntlet, shall we? Let's tell you who I'm starting. Obviously, Josh Allen is in my lineup. I ranked him a bit too low last week, and I do have him as the QB1 in my rankings. Let's give him the respect he deserves. And although the matchup's really bad, I could see low passing volume for Josh Allen. I expect the rushing stats to really be there, and I would definitely expect a rushing touchdown for Josh Allen. So let's keep him in our lineup. Let's keep doing that. However, I'm obviously starting James Cook. I like James Cook a lot this week, but maybe not to go over like 100 rushing yards. I do think he'll mainly contribute in the passing game. That's the main area where you can kind of get after the Texans' run defense. But if you look at the matchups overall, Houston is top 10 across the board. So James Cook will contribute. I'm just not expecting his best game of the year. Nico Collins, I'm going to keep in my lineup, a really productive, high volume guy with Davis Mills. And sorry, I'm still getting a knack of the size of the circle. Let's put it, let's do that. Let's put the circle like that. But Nico Collins would be in my lineup. He's going to be my wide receiver 5 this week. I trust the volume. I think you can probably get 100 yards. And from a floor standpoint, I consider Nico pretty bust proof. The Bills secondary does not scare me enough to bench Nico Collins. He will stay in the lineup, definitely a top 10 wide receiver. But the main player getting the biggest upgrade would be Woody Marks, who gets a top 2 matchup. The Bills are giving up a shit ton of points, just gave up 3 touchdowns and well over 100 yards to Sean Tucker. And I do think Woody Marks will be scoring a touchdown. If you look at the Bills game log, there's only one game this season where they have not allowed a rushing touchdown by a running back. They are very, very likely to allow Woody Marks into the end zone. So I trust him more than Nick Chubb. He could get vultured, but based on the volume, I don't really expect Nick Chubb to factor in too much. I could see both of them score. That's how likely the odds of touchdowns on Buffalo are at running back. So I want Woody Marks in my lineup. He is a top 20 running back in my rankings this week. I have him at number 18. I'll show you all of my rankings after I run through all of these players. But Khalil Shakir is a big question mark. You would think with no Keon Coleman or Kincaid, he's a lock in the lineup. The volume should be there. But last week it was not. He had negative receiving yards. He had less than Tyrell Shavers and Gabe Davis. Khalil Shakir shit the bed last week. So I want to expect a bounce back. I would like to project that for him. But the Houston matchup ranks 31st, giving up terrible stats to receivers this year. He will get the Derek Stingley shadow coverage tonight. So I'm not upgrading him by any imagination. It's only the volume that I think might increase that might save you a little bit. Otherwise, I'd be downgrading him significantly and outright telling you to bench him. But I still rank him at wide receiver 33. I'm still going to keep Shakir likely in my lineup as a flex play, but definitely diminished returns this week. I'm not projecting him to go over 10 points. But Jaden Higgins, I would not project to give you enough yardage to go over 10 points, but I could see a touchdown for Higgins. I don't think that's the worst bet to be making because that defense of the Bills is definitely going to lock on to Nico. It's so obvious. You got to stop Nico. Meanwhile, Higgins in 3 of the last game has over 7 targets and one of them with 8. So while sometimes he doesn't catch them, in the last few weeks, especially with Mills, he has been contributing pretty consistently. I was high on him entering the year. I actually have Jaden Higgins in my top 40, a solid low-end flex play at receiver, my number 39 wideout in the rankings. I'm actually starting him in the subscriber league tonight. I picked him up off the waiver wire. I actually drafted him back in August, and then obviously I dropped him. He wasn't doing much for quite a while, but I like the uptick in volume. I like what I'm seeing, and I could see some high upside. They're going to score against the Bills. At least a touchdown or 2 will come out of Davis Mills, and I could see one of them go to Jaden Higgins. So an interesting flex play, but Dalton Schultz is probably the safer option, and at tight end, the bar is much lower. So I would definitely say Schultz is probably a more reliable player to get you like 6 or 7 points. But if you're telling me there's a touchdown between Schultz or Jaden Higgins, I would project it to go to Jaden Higgins. The Bills stop tight ends. Buffalo is the worst matchup on the year for the tight end position. They do not play around at defending the tight end. So I am not expecting the world from Dalton Schultz. I've told you to start him at times, and I've been right most of the time when I upgrade him enough to rank him top 12. This is not one of those weeks. I am keeping him low in the top 20, but at tight end, you can still slot in anyone outside the top 10. In the top 20, anyone can still give you like 6 points. The bar is really low to clear at tight end. So Schultz is my tight end 17. There are 16 other tight ends I would rather have, but one of them is not Dawson Knox. I have Dawson Knox at number 20 in my tight end rankings, and if you don't get a touchdown out of Knox, I don't think you get much. And this matchup is not ideal. The Texans give up bottom 6 numbers to the tight end position, so you will need a touchdown. Without one, Knox will burn you. I would more than likely just bench Knox, but he is my tight end 20, and that's the cutoff point where I would still maybe consider them. Tight end is sometimes like hard to piece together off the waiver wire. Sometimes there's a lot of them rostered, and it is weird. There are some players on bye as well this week. So good luck replacing Kincaid. Maybe Knox piques your interest, but without a touchdown, I don't think it's worth it. And tonight, I think this game has a lot of defense. I originally had both defenses as my long shots, but I'm bumping them up. I'm ranking them top 13, respectively. I don't think this game is a shootout. I think neither team goes over 25 on the scoreboard. I'm projecting like a close game, and nobody drops more than 3 touchdowns. So the Texans are really talented. I think they'll limit the Bills enough. And if you get a turnover or 2 tonight, I wouldn't be shocked. Josh Allen just doesn't have the pieces where he can't be forced to go Superman. I think he might force the issue a little bit on a Thursday night game. It might look a bit similar to that Falcons matchup several weeks ago when they lost. So I like the Texans a decent amount. They're my defense number 12. So I'm not telling you have to start them, but there's a lot of defenses I just don't like that much this week. This matchup, I think, is sneaky a bit low on the scoreboard. So I understand benching them against Buffalo. It feels kind of gross, but the Bills I have literally right behind them. I have them back to back. I think both defenses are going to be close. It's going to be a tight game and less than 25 from both teams. So I think they're both top 15 at the position. I have the Bills at 13. Houston, though, I would rather start. I have them one spot higher at number 12, but I do think Davis Mills is a sneaky low-end super flex option. He's my quarterback 17. And that's not great. I wouldn't start him in a 1 quarterback league, but I do think he'll offer you a solid, safe floor. Last 2 games, he has actually been okay. He had as many points as Drake May last week with 17. And then the week before that, he had 29 against Jacksonville. This matchup is not good, though. So it's really just hoping for some touchdown production. But I could see the Bills defense really sleep on this matchup. And I do think he'll throw at least 1 touchdown. And I don't think he'll throw more than 1 turnover. I don't see a lot of picks or fumbles out of Mills tonight. So the Bills defense just doesn't scare me enough. I think Mills is still top 20, but I can't say it's like a guarantee he'll go over 17 points. So just a floor play in super flex, not in 1 quarterback. Bench him for sure. So kind of embarrassed if that's my guy, but low end QB2. And then players I'm benching, Keon is not going to play. I believe he's a healthy scratch. He was demoted on the depth chart, so cannot start him. Ty Johnson had a great game last week, but only on 3 touches. I wouldn't trust it. I'd rather go Ty Johnson, though, than Ray Davis. Ray Davis was a bagel last week, not a single touch, and even when he does get involved, it's also like 3 touches, like Ty Johnson. So no thanks with either of them. I will pass. I'm only trusting James Cook. But then at receiver, Xavier Hutchinson needs a touchdown. I'm not going to bet on it tonight. I'll go with Jaden Higgins, well over Hutchinson. I also am not going to bet on Christian Kirk. I could see him lose his job soon to Jalen Knoll. Knoll is a slot receiver, and Kirk is right now the starting guy. But Kirk has not had more than 1 reception in each of the last 3 games. I'm not expecting Kirk to do anything, but definitely benching him, also benching Knoll. Like I said, the only other rookie receiver I like is Jaden Higgins behind Nico Collins. But Kincaid is not going to play, so I have to bench him. He might be back soon, but not in this one, so got to keep him inactive. And then Stroud is also ruled out with a concussion. He is also in the injury ward, not going to play tonight. But my long shot would be Nick Chubb. This Bills matchup is top 2, so I'm not recommending him. Nick Chubb ranks as my running back 43. So there's no chance in hell I'm starting him. But if you tell me in DFS he does sneak into the end zone, this Bills matchup is good in that department. They have given up a lot of rushing touchdowns on the year. So could get lucky. It is possible. And then, although I don't trust him, Josh Palmer is my long shot for Buffalo because they do pay him a decent salary and he is active above Keon Coleman tonight. He is a starting receiver for the Bills. So somebody has to step up. He'll be running routes, but the Texans matchup's brutal. I would not start him, but I have to nominate someone I would bench Josh Palmer. I didn't rank him top 60. I'd rather go with Nick Chubb if I was that desperate. So that is it. Those are the start sits for this game. And if you still have any questions, let me know in the chat. Once I'm done with the main broadcast, which is going to be very soon, in the next like 5 minutes or so, I will answer all your questions. So that's it. Now let me show you all of my rankings because I mentioned them in passing, and I think it's definitely helpful to visualize what I'm talking about. So get a look at the start sits one last time. Let's move on though to my rankings. Let me pull it up. Here we go. Let me get my head out of the way. All right, so these are my rankings at running back and wide receiver, and then let me run through the gauntlet at this position. We have James Cook as the RB6, so 100% start James Cook, and these rankings are tentative. I will be finalizing them over the next 2 days, so don't hold me to this on Saturday, but at the moment, these are my preliminary rankings on the week. So James Cook at number 6, definitely a lock in the lineup, but I have Woody Marks at number 18. So like just to visualize it, I do have Woody Marks kind of high at the position. Top 20, I'd rather go Woody than Emmanuel Wilson. I like the matchup a lot more than the guy you just picked up off the wire. I also hate the matchup for guys like Chase Brown or Tyler Algier, kind of a hard bet. Ashton Genty, I don't like this week at all against Cleveland. I also don't really like Kamara too much or Breece Hall. Trey Benson, hard to fully trust. The Giants backfield, the Singletary and Tracy, that's a gamble. So if you have Woody Marks, I like Woody Marks a lot. The only guys I would start above him are like Kenneth Walker, Swift, Judkins, ETN, Bucky Irving, and then all of the top 10 players you're already trusting. So Woody Marks is a start for me. I like him a lot. I do recommend Woody Marks tonight. But otherwise, I don't really feel too confident in any other player. We have Nick Chubb at 43. So I'm definitely benching him. No thanks with Nick Chubb. And then Ray Davis and Ty Johnson are just unranked. They're outside the top 50. So those players, I'll start James Cook and Woody Marks tonight, but Woody, maybe just a high-end flex for most of you. And then at wide receiver, there's no way I'm benching Nico Collins. Nico Collins is in my top 5. I got to keep him in the lineup, but I could understand ranking him like maybe closer to number 10, but I trust the volume. I would expect like close to 100 yards. And if anyone's going to score a touchdown, it's most likely Nico Collins. So I have him here at number 5. There's no way I'm benching Nico Collins, but his teammate Jaden Higgins is my wide receiver 39. So in the top 40, you could do much worse. I'm probably going to bench him, but if you're in a pinch like I am, in the subscriber league, I got some players on bye. I am flexing Jaden Higgins tonight. My decision was between Higgins and Jacoby Myers. I have them back to back, but I am more likely going to expect a touchdown for Jaden Higgins. But maybe you picked up Andre Yoshivas off the waiver wire. I'd rather go Yoshivas. I'd also rather go Darnell Mooney, also off the waiver wire. But players like Ricky Pearsall, who had a bagel last week, DJ Moore, who's been bad this year, Trey Tucker, who's pretty uninspiring against Cleveland, but is a wide receiver 1. I would still trust over Jaden Higgins. And then I also have Khalil Shakir at 33 in this game. I would still go Khalil Shakir, but not by a lot. Shakir, I think, has diminished value this week against Derek Stingley. The Texans matchup is bad. And as a low-end flex option with 4 teams on bye, I would normally have Shakir like up at 20, 24, 25. Shakir at 33 is a big indictment. Not expecting much from Shakir after last week. So the matchup is pretty bad, but the volume could be there. I think he'll bounce back a little bit, but not enough to be a guaranteed double-digit scorer in fantasy. I'm not expecting a touchdown from Shakir, but the yardage is probably okay for like 60, 65 yards. So good luck with him. I hope it works out, but I could see it blow up in your face. I honestly think Jaden Higgins, who I am starting tonight in fantasy, has higher upside, but much lower floor than Khalil Shakir. So good luck between the two, but I would still go Shakir over Jaden Higgins tonight, but both top 40. And then otherwise, Keon Coleman, I should probably take out of the ranks altogether. But last time I took the screenshot was before he got ruled inactive and got demoted. So I have him at 54. There's no way you're starting the second Bills receiver. No, thank you. With Keon Coleman. So that is it at wide receiver and Running back, let me get my head back on the screen. And now I can move on to the other positions. If you still need these rankings, go ahead and take a screenshot. I'll revisit them maybe later if you have questions. But for now, these are my running back and wide receiver ranks going in to Thursday night. But let's take a look at the other positions. We have quarterback, tight end, and defense. And then let me move this over just a little bit and zoom in just a little bit. Okay. So these are my quarterback rankings where after last week, I was so wrong on Josh Allen. I got to rank Josh Allen at number 1. So let's not get cute. Let's keep him in the lineup. Let's not bench him for anyone. Let's respect Josh Allen this week. And although I'm a little sad that I wasted the fade Josh Allen take last week, I kind of really want to give it to you this week. I kind of want to tell you that he's just not going to be the same guy. But he's going to run the ball. That's the thing. The rushing stats are definitely going to be there for Josh Allen. So have to consider him really high. Let's keep him at number 1. Shall we? Last week he had 50 points in the Blunt League. He buried me. I lost by 30 because Herbert scored 3 and Allen scored 50 in my Blunt League subscriber matchup. I had a really good week out of everyone else, but Herbert versus Allen, I lost by 47. And then on the week, I lost by 30 points. So that one was brutal. That one was sad. So I owe Josh Allen the respect he deserves to keep him at number 1. But like I said, Davis Mills is in the super flex conversation. I have him at 17. And at the moment, I think I'd feel more confident in Davis Mills than Joe Flacco. Right now, Flacco is not the biggest guarantee. I don't know if Burrow's going to play. So if you don't have Burrow, if you're rolling with Flacco, you might want to look to Davis Mills on the wire. But I don't think he's the best option you can get. I like Bryce Young more this week at number 16. I'd rather go Bryce Young. I think he'll run the ball a little bit more. I also prefer Caleb, Daniel Jones, Patrick Mahomes. Lamar, I think, is not a safe play right now. He's kind of banged up, not going to run it too much against the Jets, but still a better start than Davis Mills. And then I do have Baker, who's dealing with an illness right now at 11. He'll probably move up the board, assuming he gets cleared. But Jacoby Brissett, I think, is the best option off the wire, if you can still get him. My quarterback 10 this week. So I'd rather go Brissett, but I do think Davis Mills is a little interesting. In a super flex format, go ahead. But only compared to guys like Flacco, Shador, Tyler Shuck. Love, I don't like too much this week, neither with Trevor Lawrence, McCarthy. Rodgers, I worry about the wrist injury. So I think Davis Mills is fine. And then otherwise, there's nobody else that piques my interest. Mills is probably going to give you like 16 or 17 points tonight. That's my projection on Davis Mills. But at tight end, let's talk about it. The first one to mention is Dalton Schultz. Where is Dalton Schultz? Number 17 with Dalton Schultz. Not the safest bet. This matchup sucks. So I don't think you have to start him. I'd rather go with Okonkwo in a great matchup. AJ Barner in that same game. Good matchup for him. Fannin might get the start with no Njoku this week, so that's a better play. I also like Noah Fant with no Jamar Chase, Kate Otten, and then all the names you know already. I don't think Schultz is the best play this week. So he's just a floor play, fine, but I don't think he scores a touchdown, and I don't think he goes over 50 yards. A lower end floor play with Schultz this week. So I would probably bench him, but you could do worse. I would rather have Schultz than Dawson Knox at number 20. But Knox, I don't think is worth it. Needs a touchdown. I'd rather fade him. I'd rather bet on Schultz or one of the rookies like Loveland or even Terrence Ferguson now that Higbee is on IR. So let's hope for the best on Knox, but without a touchdown, you're going to get screwed. I wouldn't trust him too much. I'd rather go Schultz, but I'd bench both tonight. And then in terms of defenses, I know it feels strange to endorse Texans and Bills, both of them together, but look at the other options. Like, let's just start at the top. Ravens, Seahawks, Browns. Those ones have good matchups. Packers, Saints, Vikings, Falcons. Low-scoring games in division. Steelers, Bears. That's a low-scoring game. Cowboys, Eagles might be low-scoring, but Texans, Bills, I have at 12 and 13. And then everybody else is kind of in like a high-scoring shootout. You get the Rams versus the Bucks, the Colts and Chiefs, the Patriots and Bengals against Burrow. That's not ideal. Lions against Jackson Dart could burn you. Raiders aren't good. Niners aren't good. Cardinals aren't good. Like, nobody's really good. And then the Texans defense is amazing. The Bills offense is a nightmare matchup. But then the Texans offense is bad. And then the Bills defense kind of sucks. So both of them will have like a close outcome this week. I think it's a really close game. I have them back-to-back lower end starters, but you could flex them, stream them, and you'll be okay. I'd rather go Texans, but Bills at 13. That is it on the ranking. So don't want to spend too much time. Like I said, if you want to take a peek, go ahead and grab a screenshot now. I won't be keeping it up for any longer. So that is it there. Lastly, I'm going to show you my final score prediction for this game. I do think it's a close one, and I have been teasing it pretty much all video. I do think the Texans are going to win. This is my prediction tonight. Most of y'all are on Buffalo straight up, 78-22. Not a surprise whatsoever. But I see an upset. I think the Texans are super desperate. The Bills are sleeping on this opponent. They just came off a Superman performance from Josh Allen, and he just can't do it all himself. The Bucs defense doesn't compare to the Houston defense. So close game. I have it as Mills scoring a last-second field goal. 1-point victory in favor of Houston. I'll take them money line. I'll take them plus 5.5. I think they cover at the worst. And I do think this game goes over the 44.5 point total. I will take Houston 25-24. I think they're going to win straight up. Call me crazy, but I am betting against Josh Allen. So that is my final score prediction. We'll see what happens tonight. And with that out of the way, there's only one thing left to do before I answer your questions, which is show you my 5-pick champion entry on Underdog. We are an Underdog partner this year, and a reminder, promo code BLUNT for new customers does get you $100 in bonus funds when you play just $5. That is a pretty dope deal. The link is in the description. And a reminder, you need to be 18 or older to play Underdog in specific states. It's not available everywhere in the U.S., but as long as you're an adult and you're a new customer, enter promo code BLUNT on sign up, and you will get this bonus $100 of bonus funds after you play your first 5. But you might be wondering, I've never played Underdog before. How do I make an entry? How should I play that first $5? This is the lineup I'm going with tonight. And oh boy, I think I cooked up quite a gem. Now, the odds of this hitting are always very slim. Remember that. You need all 5 to hit. That is not a very high bargain. But if it does, boy, the payout is dope. Let's run through this because I actually like this entry quite a bit. So I like this matchup for Woody Marks. Let me show you. We're hitting the touchdown, anytime touchdown for Woody Marks tonight. I think it'll happen. The Bills have allowed at least 1 rushing touchdown, if not 2, in all but 1 game this year. And Woody Marks is definitely the guy over Nick Chubb. He's definitely the guy who has the job in Houston. So the Underdog projections are basically expecting a touchdown tonight in this offense. The higher is 1.03x on Woody Marks, and typically it's like 1.4 for him to score. They are bumping up his odds in proportion to what it normally is. So I like Woody Marks a lot tonight. I think he scores a touchdown. I think he's a top 20 play. I like the higher on Woody Marks. I also think James Cook is not going to have the most prolific rushing game tonight. I think he might contribute in the passing game a little bit more. And he hasn't really gone over 100 rushing yards too often this year. So I made this kind of a gimme. The original projection on James Cook is about 68.5 rushing yards. I bumped it up to 99.5, and I hit the lower. So as you can see, it really diminishes your payout. The lower button is what I chose, and it has a 0.68x return. That did cut a lot of my profit, but this one is kind of a guarantee to hit as I hit some other less likely ones. And the only other safe one I think isn't even that's ideal is this Josh Allen projection of less than 226 passing yards tonight. Who is he throwing to? He's got Khalil Shakir against Derek Stingley. That's not going to go well. He doesn't have Keon Coleman. He doesn't have Dalton Kincaid. Knox is not giving you 100 yards. So unless you get that house call to Tyrell Shavers or the Ty Johnson yak, I just don't see it. Maybe James Cook really burns me in the passing game, and there's just so much yards after the catch where I just get screwed. But the Texans have allowed about 180 passing yards per game in the last 4. They are not a secondary to mess around with. So Allen will contribute in the run game, not so much the passing game. I don't like his upside to give you 300 passing yards. I think it's kind of likely he goes under 200, but I'm not going to bet on less than 200. I don't think that's worth it. So let's stick with the baseline projection that Underdog set tonight at 226.5 and hit the lower. I do not think he's going over 225 in this matchup against Houston. So those, I think, are the three safer ones. If you just want to maximize your odds of advancing, because you need every single one to hit. You can't afford to miss. You will lose money if you hit on just 4 out of 5. So if you only want to do 3, I like the Josh Allen under on passing yards. I like the James Cook under on 100 rushing yards, but I would hit the under on his regular projection if you're only going to stick to 3. And then I also think Woody Marks will score a touchdown tonight. So those 3 are the safer ones. And then this one is just for fun. And this is where I'm really gambling on Underdog. But the multiplier is massive, 2.25x, more than double your money if Jaden Higgins scores a touchdown. He has had 7+ targets in 3 of his last 4 games. I like the volume. I think the upside's high. There will be some garbage time at the very least, if not a competitive game. If the touchdown's not going to Nico Collins, I would bet on Jaden Higgins. So he went out of bounds on the 1-yard line last week. He also had a touchdown a few weeks ago. Higgins is involved, and he is starting to emerge. I like him a lot rest of season. So a touchdown tonight, the return on investment at 2.25x is why I played it so safe and kind of nuked the profit on the James Cook one. I am benefiting from it by having the risk of Jaden Higgins over here with a touchdown. But lastly, we're going extra risky, and this one probably cost me on the whole bet. This one I think is the least likely to hit. But give me a touchdown for Dawson Knox tonight. Josh Allen's going to score. Let's not pretend like he's not. But the ball has to go elsewhere than Shakir. The matchup sucks for receivers, and you don't trust Keon Coleman. How many players can score in Buffalo before it goes to the tight end position? With no Kincaid, give me a touchdown for Dawson Knox tonight. Not the best matchup, very risky, but the return is 1.85x, and that combined with Jaden Higgins is why my payout is so good. Do you see the payout on this shit? $7.26 for $5. I'll take that. I will fucking take that risk because it's fun and I can afford $5. I do one every Thursday. They rarely hit. Anytime they do, it's never on the live stream. Like I've never this year, I've never given you a 5-pick entry that has hit. All of the ones that have hit have been just on my own accord. I do win money on these projections, but I never give you the right ones on the fucking live stream. So pick your poison, but the payout is fucking awesome. I did have a 50% profit boost token, so half of this will be bonus cash. A third of this will be bonus cash, but $5 for $7.26, bro. Fuck. Let's hope for the best. I need to get lucky, but I do feel a little lucky tonight. I have had some decent calls, just not as much on the live stream on these Thursday videos. So wish me luck. Let's hope I'm making $700 tonight. But those are my picks tonight. That is it for the promo. But a quick reminder, just one last time, if you are new to Underdog, promo code BLUNT gets you $100 in bonus funds. Play your first 5 with promo code BLUNT on sign up, and you'll get 100 extra bonus funds in your account. So that's it for the long thing. Let me get my light back up on the wall. With daylight savings, there's some rain in LA today. It's a little gross, not too much light. I needed the extra. Jesus. Okay, I needed the extra booster light on the side. Anyways, those are all technical things. Let me get the chat up on the screen. And let me check the poll. Y'all are 68% on the Bills minus 5.5. Y'all believe in Josh Allen after last week. I understand. But I'm going to hate on it. I want some chaos. I want the Texans to be kind of interesting towards the end of the year. They need a win like this to give their season some hope that they can make the wild card. But let me pull up your comments let me get those on the screen, and then let me get rolling. Actually, crap. Okay, I gotta end the poll. I think it's been long enough. Pretty obvious. Let's end the poll. Now I can get your comments on the screen. Okay. Okay. Scott Young, good evening, man. Welcome in. Welcome. Welcome in. Aaron Bortel. Quick question. What do you think about grabbing Taysom Hill for free and dropping either Loveland or Theo? I have McBride for tight end 1 already. I don't love it. I'd rather hold on to Theo Johnson. Really good chemistry with Jackson Dart. Loveland, I think, has the highest potential of any like rookie tight end. And Taysom Hill's just not proven. You don't know when it's going to work out for Taysom Hill. Maybe off the bye he works out, but I've been hyping up the touchdown, the good game for Taysom Hill to come. It's just not happening. So if you want to go for it, that's just on you. You know, like you have McBride. You don't need a backup tight end that is like going to give you just like 8 points every week. You need the elite upside. So Taysom Hill is one of those guys, but there's no floor. So it's just kind of like for the vibes why I would do that. But I'd rather just stick with Theo Johnson. I think Theo Johnson might be a top 12 tight end rest of season, maybe even top 10, especially when Dart returns. His upside is one of the highest. His touchdown production is very reliable, higher than most average tight ends. So he is pretty valuable. I would not drop Theo for Taysom Hill. Cody Welch, good evening, bro. Good evening. Luis in the chat. Hey, man, I picked up Emmanuel Wilson. Opponent has Jacobs. I got Dowdle, Woody, Emmanuel, and Bucky. Jacobs hasn't been ruled out yet, so Wilson is risky to me, and Bucky, I think, will be out. Start Woody. I understand your concern. You have some very high upside with the other options. I'm definitely starting Rico Dowdle, but the other ones are tricky. Emmanuel, not a lock yet. Likely going to start, but not a guarantee. If they weren't playing on Thanksgiving, then I would probably assume that Jacobs will play, but now I think with that factoring in, they will at least give Emmanuel Wilson a lot more volume, even if Jacobs does suit up. So that's a bit tricky. I have Woody one spot above Emmanuel, but I have Bucky much higher. So it's all going to come down to if you think Bucky is worth the risk. I think he is, but that illness in Tampa Bay going around, that's not good. And, he's missed a lot of time. I could see them hold him out again. Their division is kind of the most important thing, not really their head-to-head tiebreakers with the Rams. I could see them hold out Bucky even if he practices. So that's a tough question, man. Bucky versus Woody is what the question is. I'd rather go Woody than Emmanuel Wilson tonight. But I think I might hold out for Bucky, knowing Wilson is in my back pocket. I'd rather have Bucky. So I think I would bench Woody Marks tonight for Bucky. But that's a good question, man. Pretty close call. Pretty close there. I think I would hold out hope on Bucky Irving. But Cody thinks that you should start Woody. Also has Buck in his team. Picked up Wilson, but I also have Swift. But yeah, I'd start Woody. Understandable. There's nothing guaranteed with Wilson or Bucky. That's the thing. With Woody, you at least know he's going to start and you at least know he's going to play. And then I do think he scores a touchdown. The matchup's good. I guess from a safety standpoint, I might just go with Woody Marks. I might just do that. But I don't hate holding on to Bucky and then risking getting screwed with Wilson. But I understand the risk. But Luis, thank you for reminding everyone. Yes, give the video a like. I would appreciate a like if you have not dropped one yet. Hit the like button before you leave. But Johnny Jersey says, start Jared Goff versus the Giants or Brissett versus Michael Wilson, with Michael Wilson as my wide receiver versus the Jaguars. I think I have them like back to back, bro. I think I really have them like super, super close. Let me pull up my rankings. I think this will probably be helpful as I go through these comments. Okay. So these are quarterback rankings. I have Goff at 9 and Brissett at 10. Damn, I wish I had them further apart. For the moment, I'm going to go Goff. But I'm kind of worried about his receivers. I could see the running backs just like really pop off in that game. I would say Brissett has higher upside. Goff has the higher floor. Honestly, now that I see it, I think I'm going to be putting Brissett above Goff. I'll have my rankings up to tomorrow, though. Keep an eye out on for that. But Jamie, bon après-midi to you too. Luis doesn't want to wait on Jacobs or Bucky. I get it. If you just want to play it as safe as possible, then yeah, go Woody. But let's move on. Johnny Jersey says, half PPR start Ashton Genty versus the Browns or Michael Wilson versus the Jags. We're going Michael Wilson this week over the Jaguars. Yeah, we're going Michael Wilson. Let me pull up my other rankings at running back and wide receiver. I have Michael Wilson at wide receiver 17. Meanwhile, I have Ashton Genty at running back 24. I would go Michael Wilson for sure. Give me Michael Wilson. That's my call. Michael Wilson over Genty this week. But Cody prefers Genty. Austin Kissinger says Judkins or Woody Marks. Pick one. I'm going to go Judkins this week. I like Woody a lot, but I think I prefer Judkins. I don't fear the Raiders. Also with Shador, I would expect him to hand it off a lot. I still prefer Judkins. I trust the volume a little bit more, and I could see a touchdown for both of them. I still prefer Judkins this week, more reliably in the wide receiver 2 mix. Last week kind of sucked, but the matchup was much more difficult than it is this week. Woody gets a great matchup, but could still easily burn you. I would go Judkins, but it is pretty close. I have them like 2 or 3 spots apart. Trust your gut. If you feel better about Woody, I wouldn't blame you after the game that Judkins put up last week. But Luis says, I think that Dameon Pierce being let go and Mixon out rest season helps Woody a lot. I mean, I don't think it doesn't hurt. It's definitely not going to take anything away, but I don't think it really changes where he was in the pecking order already. Like Pierce was already irrelevant, and then it's not like Mixon was practicing stealing valuable reps from Woody up to this point. It just confirms what we already know. But Jonathan, good to see you, man. What up, bro? Do we still have a subscriber league matchup? I think we play each other next week. That's going to be fun. I sure hope I lock up the win this week and don't have to fucking sweat it out against you, man. I fear your team, but I do get Omeri and Hampton back next week. Herbert and Hampton against the Raiders, baby. That will be a nightmare, but good to see you, bro. Welcome in. Alvin says Shavers, Burden, or Mitchell for my last flex spot. Ooh. Mitchell, like Keaton Mitchell? I think you can get your hands on Greg Dortch. At the very least, go Greg Dortch, but I'd rather have Yoshivas. I'd rather have Jaden Higgins. I'd rather have, let me pull up my receiver rankings again. I'd rather have Isaiah Hodgins at this moment. I'd rather have Greg Dortch. I have Greg Dortch at wide receiver 41, bro. Go Greg Dortch over Tyrell Shavers. But among these 3, give me Shavers. But go Greg Dortch instead, man. Live a little bit. Have some fun with Greg Dortch. Bet on Jacoby Brissett. Go Greg Dortch. I would love to see you go Greg Dortch, Alvin. That's who I'm rooting for. Either go Jaden Higgins or Greg Dortch. But I'll flash the rankings one more time. You can take a screenshot. At the moment, these are my rankings at receiver. I'm feeling Yoshivas, Jaden Higgins, or Greg Dortch for you off the wire. If they're all taken, go Isaiah Hodgins of the Giants. And then only if Slayton plays and Hodgins becomes irrelevant, then you would go Shavers. So let's pass. Let's pass on Shavers tonight. Go Greg Dortch, buddy. Go Greg Dortch. But Rajan, which kicker would you play tonight? Oh, I forgot to mention it. Yeah, we're going to go with the Texans kicker. I don't know if Kaimi Fairbairn's active, but whoever they're filling in for him tonight is my preference. I'd rather go Texans kicker than Bills kicker. Not Matt Prater. Give me the Texans kicker. Bruce Leroy says Woody Marks or Ken Walker this week. Higgins, Pittman, or Devontae Smith. I'm going to go Ken Walker against the Tennessee Titans. The Titans matchup's great. Walker's playing well. Give me Ken Walker over Woody Marks, just more talented and higher upside despite some value on Woody tonight. I'll go Ken Walker. And then at receiver, we're going to flex T. Higgins over Devontae Smith, and then Pittman will definitely be benched. I would still like to go Devontae Smith in the lineup, though. I like T. Higgins the most, though. I have T. Higgins as a top 5 receiver this week. You're starting T. Higgins. But Luis says, got Woody right above Emmanuel. Yes, I do. Very, very tight in the rankings. But D-Flow says, I'm deciding between DK and Shakir, but I agree that DK probably deserves the slight edge just because of the matchup. Yeah, if Shakir was not facing Houston, I would 100% rather go Shakir. But the Texans matchup just scares me, man. Like, receivers don't play well against Houston. That's just not how it goes. So Metcalf, not a safe bet at all, but usually like a lock for 40, 50 yards, just like Shakir. Shakir is usually like a lock for like 50, 60 yards. But in this matchup, I would definitely downgrade that to below 45 in terms of his floor. So I'm worried about Shakir. I'm worried about Rodgers not being healthy, but against Chicago, Rodgers usually steps up. The weather's not a problem. I like DK just barely above Shakir. I have them really close. How close is it? It's oh yeah, it's literally back to back. I have Metcalf at 32 and Shakir at 33. Good luck there. I think I'm going to go Metcalf reluctantly. But do I think Kyle Pitts contributes more considering the situation in Atlanta? Mooney hasn't shown much, hoping Pitts gets a nice bump. I mean, he should, but like anytime you trust him, he fucking sucks. Like, I don't know, man. I wouldn't bet on it. But with Cousins, it's maybe you get like 6 targets and he catches like 4 for 35. Like, that's my projection for Pitts. Like, I'm not going to tell you he scores a touchdown. Can't say that. Not super high on Kyle Pitts. I'd rather go Terrence Ferguson, who I just picked up in the subscriber league. I'm not even joking. I'd rather go Terrence Ferguson than Kyle Pitts. But Roasted Raider says we start in Texans today or roll with either Packers, Lions, or Pats. No, if you have the Packers against J.J. McCarthy, that's where I'm going. Give me Green Bay over Houston this week. Let me pull up those rankings. Quick reminder on this. I have Packers at 4, and I have Texans at 12. I have Patriots at I have Patriots pretty low this week, actually at 17. I'm not sure if Joe Burrow plays. I'd be less excited about New England if Burrow's the starter. So definitely go Green Bay. Green Bay against Minnesota is my pick. But K-Space says pick one, Dobbs, Booty, Godwin, or Shakir. Dobbs, Booty, Godwin, or Shakir. I think I'm going Booty because he is healthy, right? These are wide receiver ranks. I'm going to go Kayshon Boutte. I have Kayshon Boutte at 26. And I have Godwin at 47. I have Shakir at 33. I'm going Kayshon Boutte between the 3. Good luck, pal. Good luck, bud. But thank you for smashing the like button. Twisted Folk says flex Jaden Higgins tonight. Noah Fant or Tyjae Spears. Very tempting to go Noah Fant because Jamar Chase is inactive, but I am personally starting Higgins in my own lineup. I'm going to go Jaden Higgins tonight over Tyjae Spears. I literally have both Higgins and Tyjae on the lineup. I'm benching Tyjae. I'm going Jaden Higgins. Give me Jaden Higgins. Good luck, bud. I could also scoop up DJ Moore and know he has the highest ceiling, but I also know his floor is the basement. I couldn't have said it better myself, man. Somebody just dropped DJ Moore in the subscriber league as well, and I'm going to leave him alone. I don't trust him. I'm going to bet on the upside of the rookie popping off in the second half. I'm going Jaden Higgins against Buffalo. I recommend it to you as well. Cheers, my friend. Honestly, that question, I like that question a lot because I have such a similar situation to decide on, and I love the way you frame this. Excellent description of the situation. Don't trust DJ Moore. The other guys aren't tempting enough. Let's gamble. Let's have some fun with Jaden Higgins. So, good question, man. Cheers to you. Good luck, Twisted Folk. Good luck this week. Victon Card said, I wish you luck. And with that being said, you still think Houston getting the win tonight? I do. I wavered for a minute yesterday, and then more I thought about it, I'm just going to double down. We're going to fade Josh Allen. Coming off that game last week, on the road, they're just not the same team. They've lost on the road. Kind of ugly so far. So I think this game is similar to that Falcons matchup. I think the Texans start off hot. I think the Bills start off a bit slow. Texans might give up the lead, but they're going to stay close. And I think they seal it on a last drive field goal. I think they get the ball last, and I think they get the win by just 1 point. I think they score 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals. Meanwhile, I think the Bills score 3 touchdowns, mostly in the second half, and narrowly lose to Houston. Luis says, Raiders, if Saints are there, they're sneaky. Oh, you're answering somebody else's question. No worries. Jamie, I'll be honest with you, Jamie, I did notice those. Can't say I really they're just not my vibe. I appreciate the effort, man, the thought. I thought was really kind, very endearing, but they were pleasant, but not really my vibe. Just gonna be honest. But thank you. I really appreciate it. Malice Man says Woody Marks career game incoming. I would love to see it, man. That'd be fucking awesome tonight. Also, love the avatar. Love the shark picture with the laser beams. That's dope. Fairbairn is active. Oh, if Kaimi's playing, yeah, I'm definitely taking Houston to win. If they have their kicker, that really helps them. And I think he will have like 2 or 3 field goals tonight. I would start Kaimi Fairbairn. 100%. Start the Texans kicker tonight in the Dome. But Ted Parker says Josh Allen tonight or Goff on Sunday. I love Goff's matchup, but the reason I would still go Allen is because Allen's going to lock in a lot of rushing stats, especially a rushing touchdown most likely. And I don't know if Goff will be scoring many touchdowns. With no Laporta, I don't think he's going to throw for more than 2 touchdowns. If he gives you a 3rd touchdown this week, I think that would be asking for a lot. And that's the kind of only way that Goff ever goes ever goes over 20 points. I don't think Goff will have the 30-point ceiling this week without Laporta. Love his matchup, but I trust Allen more. And I think Goff hands it off to Montgomery and Gibbs too much this week for him to have more value than Josh Allen. I'm going to go Allen over Goff tonight. Bruce with a question, Pickens or Devontae Smith? Should I drop Pitts to pick Saints defense? I have the Texans defense, but worry about the Bills matchup in full PPR. At defense, let's start with that because that affects you tonight. I would much rather go Saints over Texans. I also think tight end is deep enough where you can drop and pick up the position any week, and Pitts is not that coveted. I would drop Kyle Pitts, pick up New Orleans, and start them over the Texans. But do not drop Houston. Hold on to the Texans. They're very valuable as the season goes on. So start New Orleans at defense. And then your other question, Pickens or Devontae Smith, I'm going to roll with Pickens. The way that he's playing right now is just so good. And I don't like what I'm seeing out of Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense right now. That game is likely a shootout. I think both of them play well. But the player I trust more right now is George Pickens. I think Pickens is a better play than Devontae, but I still think Devontae should be in your lineup. I have Devontae ranked top 15 this week as well. So Pickens is just top 10, but Devontae is very close behind him. But straight up, give me Pickens over Devontae. At defense, go New Orleans over Houston. But Bruce says I have Goddard as my starting tight end. This week I would definitely drop Pitts if you have Goddard. Yeah, no need to hold on to Pitts if you have Goddard. Twisted Folk likes it. Roland Higgins. Nice, man. Good luck. Jonathan says McCarthy is a bum. Knew the hate I had for him was well-founded. Jonathan has been on this for well over a year. Jonathan has been on the channel for years now, and dating back to when McCarthy was drafted, he has always vomited at the utter name of JJ McCarthy. He despises McCarthy, and so far that looks like a good call. They should have gone Rodgers in the offseason. If only we had Rodgers in Minnesota, this shit would have been so much more entertaining. Or if they just had Kirk Cousins, I think they'd be better. It's sad what's going on in the Vikings passing game. Pray for Justin Jefferson. Release Justin Jefferson. But Rajan says, need to cut one from my roster, DJ Moore or Chimeri DK. My other receivers are Pickens, JSN, and Waddle. I think we're going to drop DK. I think between him and DJ Moore, I think I'd still rather hang on to DJ Moore. DK could be more valuable, but it feels much grosser. If you're dropping one, drop Chimeri in Houston. Hold on to DJ Moore in Chicago. But Luis asking, would you start Fairbairn over Aubrey this week? In one of my leagues, Fairbairn's on the wire, but I'd have to drop Aubrey as I don't roster two kickers. Aubrey's the only guy that you can never drop. Like, Aubrey's the one guy that I would rather have over anyone. So, no, I would not drop Aubrey for Fairbairn. Fairbairn's good, but no, I would not do that. He'll have a good game, but I would rather have Aubrey down the stretch, rest of season. Aubrey's the man at kicker. Double D says PPR flex, Chase Brown, Breece Hall, Devontae Smith, or Tet McMillan. I'm also starting Rico Dowdle. We are definitely benching Breece Hall at the Ravens. That matchup is dog shit. He's going to suck. I'm also going to bench Chase Brown against New England. Very tempting with Chase Brown, especially if Burrow plays, because Jamar won't play. In full PPR, that's really actually... Maybe I don't bench him. Let's hold off on that for a second. Tet McMillan after last week. You have good options here, man. Like, it's so hard to bench him. And then Devontae Smith is also like a top 15 receiver in general. So, fuck. I think I'm going to go chase. Fuck, man. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm 100% benching Breece Hall. But I think I'm going to bench Chase Brown as well. I don't think he catches more than 5 receptions, and that's what you'll get out of Tet. So let's bench Chase Brown. The Patriots really shut down the run. Let's bench him. And so it's between Devontae and Tet McMillan. Jalen Hurts just doesn't throw that many passes. So after last week, the matchup's awesome for Tet. The matchup's great for Devontae. Pick your poison here. Do whatever you want. But I think, personally, I don't think I can bench Devontae Smith. I know last week was awesome from Tet, but it kind of came out of nowhere. And I don't really expect it to repeat. So, high upgrade. I like Tet a lot this week. He's top 20, but I do have Devontae top 15. Slightly above him. I'm going to go Devontae Smith over Tet McMillan. These are my rankings, and just to confirm, I have Devontae at 11, and then I have Tet at 16. Yeah, I'm going to go Devontae Smith. But I don't blame you if you go Tet McMillan. At all. Even Chase Brown's tempting in full PPR if Burrow is active. But give me Devontae Smith. DK Master says, what's up, bro? PPR pick one, please. Monangai, Tootin, Sean Tucker. We're going to go Sean Tucker this week. I like Monangai as a stash, but really touchdown dependent. Oh, it's Sean Tucker. I thought Trey Tucker for a sec. I'm going to go Kyle Monangai. Yeah, give me Kyle Monangai. Tootin doesn't really catch passes. Neither does Tucker. And last week is kind of destined not to repeat for Sean Tucker. But if you tell me Bucky Irving does not play, then I might go Sean Tucker. That's the only scenario though. I would consider Sean Tucker only if Bucky is inactive. Otherwise, give me Kyle Manungai. That is the play in Chicago. But Luis says, thanks for answering all the questions. No problem, man. I know I start off really slow. I kind of ignore them. But I just want to make sure anybody who like chimes in after I post it can get all the information as quick as possible. And then I'm happy if you stick around to answer all the questions. My pleasure. So you're welcome, man. Thanks for being a member of the Blunt Rotation. Cheers to you, man. I wish I had more weed. I literally just ran out when I hit that pipe earlier. I was sad that I ran out of weed, unfortunately. But Albie is in here. Welcome in, Albie. Got here just in time to watch you rip it. Nice, bro. Kittle or Warren this week? I'm going to stick with Kittle. I can't bench Kittle now that Purdy's back. Warren's really good. Warren's valuable. But against the Chiefs, I think that game is a little more low scoring. I actually prefer the matchup just slightly for Kittle. And I feel like a touchdown's a bit more guaranteed for Kittle. But very close. Very close between the two. Warren, I think I have it tight end 4. And then Kittle, I have it number 2, just above Bowers at number 3. So don't want to bench either, but if you have to bench one, I'm starting Kittle and benching Warren. But Bruce, you're welcome, bro. Good luck to you. Rajan, you're welcome as well. Barry Wallace asking Dak or Brissett. I think I have to go Prescott. I think I got to go Dak Prescott. Jacoby's a good story. Jacoby has a great matchup, but after Justin Herbert laid an egg against the Jaguars, I'm reluctant just a touch. But that Eagles matchup's not easy. That Eagles matchup scares me as well. I don't think Dak is as safe this week. Let me confirm. I have, at the moment, I ranked Dak at number 5, and I ranked Brissett at number 10. But honestly, they're in like a very wide tier that I consider kind of equal. But Dak, I have at the top of it. Brissett, I have at the bottom. So I would start both of them. I have them both top 10. So like it's kind of your call there. But personally, I don't think I would bench Dak at this point in time. I think that game is likely more of a shootout against the Eagles than low scoring. So let's go with Dak, but I could see the Eagles kind of shut you down. There's risk with both, but I think there's a little higher floor with Dak Prescott. Double D, you the man, bro. You the man. Thank you. DK as well. Barry can hear that. Luis, go get weed before the game. I'll be smoking during it. Yeah, I'm gonna order some delivery once I log off in a few minutes. But agreed. Thanks for the consult. Here's a good one. I have my guillotine league. May or Allen this week? May against the Bengals is really tempting. Here's the thing about May. Now that Travion's legit, you could get vultured by Travion 2 or 3 times again, because the Bengals are such a good matchup for running backs. Travion's going to pop off. So last week, it's not like the Patriots offense was bad. It's just that Drake May only had 1 touchdown, and it's possible it happens again. So I have to go Josh Allen. After last week, I got to go Josh Allen. But I could see May play better. But I'm going to go Josh Allen. But I want to give you Drake May. I want to do it. I have Drake May at 4 this week. I have Allen at 1. The Travion factor is why I'm going to stick with Allen. But Double D, would I rather have Sharbs or Tootin rest of the season? I'd rather have Charbonnet than Byshal Tootin. But Tootin's not that far off. Tootin's like 40 or so at running back overall. But Charbonnet, I still think is top 30. I would rather have Charbonnet for sure. Like the upside, if the starter goes down, is much higher with Charbonnet than it is with Tootin. Give me Zach Charbonnet. But I think we're going to log off. I think that's going to be it for today. I want to answer some questions in the comment section on other videos. And before I log off, just a reminder. of our pick tonight. If you are new to Underdog, you can play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds using promo code BLUNT. The link is in the description. And if you are wondering how to spend that $5, this is the lineup I'm putting in tonight. And if it hits, I will be ecstatic if I make $700 tonight. $5 down, 726 return. And given the injuries that both teams have, I think there's some chances this works out. We got Dawson Knox touchdown, very unlikely, but definitely possible. James Cook under 100 yards. He will definitely go under 100. Unless he has a house call, I think James Cook will stay under 100. That one is a lock, but it really diminishes the ROI. Josh Allen going to have a rough game passing under 226. And then Woody Marks, I think, will score a touchdown. The Bills have given up a shit ton of them this year. And then Jaden Higgins, for good vibes, is scoring a touchdown tonight. He is in my lineup in the Blunt League. And if all of that happens, all 5 have to hit, we will turn $5 into $726. Wish me luck, everyone. And again, use promo code BLUNT on Underdog if you're a new customer. But enjoy the game, everyone. I'll see y'all later. And once kickoff happens, I'll be posting part 2 of my start sit decisions this week. Later tonight, part 2 will be live for not just members, but everyone. So keep an eye out on that. Ring the notification bell and subscribe if you haven't already. And good luck. I hope you get the win in week 12.